for those audiences, maybe two questions, right? For audiences that probably is new to co-living, maybe help us to define what is co-living.
Okay, so co-living, to the layman, co-living is room rental. But what is truly co-living, there's always a hardware and the software. The hardware, of course, is the real estate, the space that people stay. But the software and so-called the hardware is about building a very robust community. That means a group of people that come together, they stay within the four walls of the unit. Can they coexist together? Can they form a very effective community? And where true friendship can develop. It means it's not just like I come back home from work, I go into my room, I come out to the kitchen, I cook, eat already, I go back to my room. It's more than that. It's about getting to know each other, develop a friendship.
The social interaction.
Social interaction. It's the same.
And it's also not living with the landlord.
Yes, correct. It's not living with the landlord.
Maybe backtrack a little bit. When did this concept first started in the whole world? I mean, which country was
I remember
was
it was in, I think, US and Europe country, it was already very popular.
Right.
So in US, it's a bit different. So some of the real estate developer, they look at aging industrial area, they turn it around to become so-called turn it around to be accommodation play.
Right.
It's not like Singapore. Singapore, you cannot, from industrial, cannot change to residential. But in some other parts of the world, it's easier to do that conversion.
Right.
Yeah, to provide housing solution.
Right. So back to 2019, you were that time your social experiment happened to be the sixth sort of company.
Six brand. The number six brand.
Start. Okay. And what happened next? What happened with your social experiment?
So during the social experiment, at that point in time, the client said, so what you want to do? I said, I want to do co-living. Then he said, what is co-living? I remember, what is co-living? I said, Park, you just room rental. I remember telling him that because very hard for him to explain. Because co-living in 2019, there's not much of a fanfare. Not much. So he said, okay, I rent to you. I said, can you give me discount? I said, okay, 5,500. Well, I rent from him. I spent around 20,000 of my money to go and fit up the place.
Okay.
So 2 weeks later, the place was fitted up. Another 2 weeks later, I got some of my agent friends to help me to rent it out. So within 2 weeks, I rent out all the room. Then in total, my rental collection was $10,800. So at that point in time, my thinking was that if my client can use this concept to turn around the space, they can achieve a higher rental yield. Because I'm a real estate guy. To me, numbers for real estate is very important. Then at the same time, I said, hey, there's really demand because you have a very safe environment. Then, of course, matching of the tenant is important.
Yeah.
I remember my first six tenants, right, are all ladies.
So how many rooms were there in this terrace house?
Okay, there was already 6 rooms already.
Right.
There was already 6 rooms because 2.5 story. So first floor, you got 1 granny room. Then on top, 2 room. Then 1 big room.
Do you happen to remember like roughly the rental rates back then in 2019 of this?
Oh, it was I remember in my master room, I was renting at around 2002.
Right. And that was in Orchard Paragon.
Orchard Paragon.
It was like super cheap back then.
At that point in time, I remember it was still higher than the so-called cookie cutter room rental that's in the market. So I remember when tenant come and ask me, hey, why are you charging me more expensive? So we said, oh, we are hosting a monthly event for you. Then I remember my first 50 rooms, every week, every Thursday, we send breakfast for them.
Wow.
We send a local kaya toast for them to let them really experience the Singapore thing. At that point in time, 20 rooms, it's very hard to do any community event. It's only when we're 1,200 rooms, then our community event is more robust. So whatever we have done then and now is actually very different.
Right.
So it was started purely from social experiment point of view. Because at that point in time, I was still holding a full-time job with Oxley. So this one was really more of a social experiment. So one thing lead to another. Then that year itself, I think I end the year with around 70, 80 rooms.
So 2019, while you were still working at Oxley, at the end of the year, you had 70 rooms. And
Around
that was
70.
like how many units? Was it like 15 apartments?
Okay, so it was quite different. Just now, before we came on this show, Grace was asking me whether the COVID hit me because I started a company in 2019, somewhere operation in June. 8 months later, you circuit breaker, everything, right? So I was very fortunate because after this Jalan Elok Inter Terrace, right, the rest of the property I did, right, was actually via management contract. So I was sharing this idea with some of my clients, my very close crowd investor, whose family own a lot of real estate. So I share with them about the concept. Then I was really very blessed. I was very fortunate. And then one of them say, "Hey Eugene, so happen I got this building. You know, all this building, I last time always ask people to help me rent out unit by unit. But I think it's time to uplift this place. I tell you what, maybe you help me check how much should I spend to renovate the whole place. And you do your numbers. If I go by this model, right, can I have a higher yield? So I say, I can do for you, but I got no money to pay you rental. So can we go by a management contract model? So my first 300 room were all via management contract. It was only the first property that I pay rental. The rest I didn't pay rental. So I actually take a cut from the revenue.
Okay.
So it's purely by profit share. So
Right.
yeah, so that
So you become like an operator to kickstart this thing for your client. The
Correct.
300 units.
the first 300 rooms.
Right. Are these 300 rooms still in the assembly place
Yes.
under management?
Yes.
Right. Awesome. So that kickstarted your journey into...
Correct.
Right.